All right, I'm super excited today because I have Allan Dalton, the Senior Vice President for Research and Development for Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, also former CEO for Realtor.com. This is one of those interviews you're not going to miss. So, Allan, really appreciate you being here, sharing some of your knowledge. Have 40 years?
I'm more than 40, but I've been 40 years in the business.
Yeah, I know, 40 years in the business. So obviously, over that time, you've seen some things, seen some changes. There's probably some things, though, that you've seen characteristic-wise that set the top agents, apart from just the average agent. What would you say would be some of those characteristics?
Well, first of all, they're more strategic. One of the challenges in the industry is that for the most part, the industry is more tactical than strategic. In fact, I've often asked a lot of agents this question when I do a program in front of a few hundred or whatever. How many of you in high school or college had a strategy that you were going to come into the business? And very few people raised their hands, but if there were 200 lawyers, doctors, almost all of them would.
Right.
That doesn't mean we're any less intelligent,
right,
but our population is not as strategic.
Right.
And then because this is an instant gratification, transaction to transaction driven business, a lot of agents never take the time to step back and do proper business planning, strategic thinking. So that would be one. The other would be a level of confidence. Successful agents are very confident.
Where do you think that confidence comes from? Competence, or where do you think?
Well, it comes from knowledge. It comes from people skills, product knowledge. Yeah. And it becomes, confidence begets confidence. So they develop experiential knowledge and they build on that confidence.
Yeah, and I think, obviously I know you've been involved with coaching for a long time. I believe Tom Ferry dedicated his book to you, I believe. Is that correct?
Actually, it was his dad,
It was
Mike
Mike.
Ferry.
It was Mike Ferry.
Mike dedicated his book to me.
Yeah. So with Mike dedicating his book to you, obviously I've been doing this for 25 years, have followed everything that Mike's done, the way he's just systematic in the business. So let's talk about and kind of shift a little bit from a standpoint of the role of technology. How is that changing the business? How do you see that going forward with how that's going to affect realtors?
That's a great question. 15, 20 years ago, everybody was worried about the word disintermediation, the elimination of the middle person, as what happened to the travel agents. That didn't happen in our industry. What happened instead was buying side disruption, because now 95, 97% of consumers start their search online. But that wasn't onerous, because buying side disruption allowed brokers to reduce their classified advertising. It allowed real estate teams to develop, because now listing rainmakers could control the destiny of leads and hire a few buyer agents. Right. The buy doesn't determine the fee, and buys don't generate listings as much as listings generate buyers. But now what's happening is that the only, and I speak as the former CEO of Realtor.com for several years, the only place that third-party portals and what I refer to as cyberspace carpetbaggers could come in and have an impact, they've got to disrupt the listing side. Up until now, 75% of all home sellers select an agent that they know. See, buyers search for property, home sellers search for agents, but the web has never been set up before for agents to go searching for agents on the web. Right. That's in the infancy right now, and they'll make their determinations based upon lower fees, rebates, reviews. And so the industry has to think long and hard, and agents in particular, what do I need to do to disrupt the listing side disruptors? Right. When I was CEO of Realtor.com, 98% of the traffic to our site clicked on Find a Home, and only 2% clicked on Find a Realtor, and they were realtors. So that just shows and documents that buyers search for property, and the sellers never use the internet to search for agents. Now when they will, so what do agents have to do to preemptively inoculate themselves from this inevitability? They've got to go from having a sphere of influence to now influencing their sphere. They've got to evolve from their obsession with data banks and evolve to client banks, okay? Because right now people have one doctor, one dentist, one lawyer, and they've got 5 realtors. Right. And so what do realtors have to do to put an end to this real estate roulette? They've got to go from being transactional to relational, and We've created some programs at Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices that are bridges to create clients for life. Because if agents wait until the homeowner has a need to search, it's too late.
Right.
So we've got to go from SEO, meaning search engine, to where SEO has to become seek engine. We've got to use technology like AdWorks, like Chalk Digital, for agents to go out there and to introduce themselves via mobile, via that type of technology, as opposed to waiting until people come to them, because no one's going to control the buying site anymore, unless you spend a lot of money with Zillow or Realtor.com.
Right.
But we can't give up the listing side. And we've got 1 million feet in the ground. Zillow is not going to knock on doors of prospect and create relationships. That's the key going forward.
And you've been doing this your whole career. I mean, I remember seeing where you set up the videos for the neighborhoods, for the communities, the things along those lines. Now with the lifestyle planner that the brand is doing for us as agents. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, the value of story, the value of being that storyteller for the community, for the business, really.
Well, the tendency and the temptation for most agents is that if a home seller, for example, says to them, even challenges them, what makes you different, they're inclined to actually fall for that trap and start talking about themselves. I do this, I stay in touch, I'm a great stager, I'm a great negotiator. Whereas they should be saying, folks, rather than focusing on how I'm different, I'd rather focus on how we have to make your property different. That's really good. You see, I don't compete against other agents here in the Panhandle, but your home competes against other properties. I actually cooperate with the other agents, but your home doesn't cooperate, it competes. So the way that I'm different is how we're gonna market your home different. But not only does your home compete against other homes, different communities within the Panhandle are in competition with other communities. And so we have to basically also position what's different about the overall lifestyle. Right. And you've got a great evolving, burgeoning area that's exploding.
Right.
And sometimes when things are going at that cadence and pace, some people don't step back strategically and understand just because values have been going up and the market's exploding doesn't mean that homeowners still don't want more money.
Right.
And in order to do that, you've got to do a better job of promoting differentiation. Most agents are obsessed with what makes them different. They're not as obsessed with what makes the town different, the Panhandle different, the home different.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And in reality, they could care less about
Exactly.
They want to know what's in it for them.
Absolutely.
So it's that communication in that way. Let's shift back a little bit from an agent perspective. An agent that is wanting to grow their business on that specific strategies. We've talked about this. Obviously, everything that you're doing with the brand is very helpful. What are some things, if you were talking to an agent and said, "Hey, build the story yourself," what are some strategic steps you would suggest? Is it video? Is it?
Yeah, definitely. It's video. For example, when I left Realtor.com, I created a website. It didn't make it, called TownAdvisor.com, because I saw that people, when they wanted hotel information, went to a site called TripAdvisor. And they wanted home improvement, they'd go to a site called HomeAdvisor. And I sat back and I asked myself, what corresponding site do people go to when they want to learn the nuances about any town, city, neighborhood? And there wasn't an equal site to these other aforementioned sites. So I created TownAdvisor.com, but we didn't have enough funding.
Yeah.
And so short of that, I would do community videos, town videos. But here's the mistake that most realtors make. First of all, they conflate knowledge on different sectors. For example, if you ask most realtors, well, how long do you think a video should be? Well, it should be less than 2 minutes. No, it should be less than 2 minutes if you're going to do a video on your barbecue and put it on YouTube. But no one in 2 minutes is going to capture the magnificence and the nuance of the Panhandle, of Dustin, of Walton Beach. It's not going to happen.
Right.
But if people have that mindset, they approach it differently. The second thing is this. I've asked a lot of agents this question. What do you think is more important when you do a video? The images of the text. They all say images. It's the opposite. Because I've shown videos where I will show just the images. It's nothing. Then I'll show the images with the video. They like it. But then I just have the words with no visual. It's telling a story. It's telling a story because all the communities compete. In fact, many years ago, Mayor Bloomberg, when he was mayor of New York, was on Meet the Press, and he was asked this question: Mayor, what's the greatest threat to the future of New York? Here's what he said: the greatest threat to the future of New York would be London, because we compete for the same human resources. So this part of Florida is competing against other parts of Florida.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Towns in the Panhandle are competing against other towns. So if you do a world-class video on the town and you tell a story to the degree that people who live there get choked up and you see tears in their eyes because you're capturing a part of their life. And so if you're going to capture a part of their life, you can't be, hi, this is Allan, I'm at the town bakery, or I'm here with the chef at the restaurant.
Right.
This has to be like a mini documentary on there, and the people who do that will take over communities.
You're selling the lifestyle.
That's
You're
exactly right.
Yeah, okay, that makes complete sense.
Exactly
and
right.
and so when you're talking about just real practical, when you're
Yeah.
talking about obviously images, the portion you're saying that when you're telling the story of that neighborhood, just go blank screen with just the text, you think is, obviously you've tested all of that.
No, you want to have the combination.
Right.
It's just that people think, because we're in more of a visual medium, that being real estate,
Right.
than a text. I mean,
Right.
keep in mind, our industry essentially only uses 6 words
Right.
to describe every home. Your home is beautiful, lovely, charming, gracious, spacious, and elegant. And almost every property is either park-like setting or professionally landscaped. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so we don't live in the world of really being great storytellers about lifestyles,
Right.
because that's our heritage.
Yeah.
Modern eating kitchen, all the abbreviations.
Yeah.
And so we rely upon the home, the beauty of the home, the visualization.
Right.
And we have an industry where a lot of people just say the same things about everything. How's the market? It's unbelievable. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
they're
know,
not telling the story.
oftentimes the first offer is the best offer. I mean, we have almost the same language that permeates the entire industry.
Yeah.
And so we haven't taken the time. For example, like when I've written these videos on towns, like say the town I live in, Fairfield, Connecticut, I wrote it this way: Fairfield, Connecticut, romantically and recreationally perched adjacent to the ecologically flourishing Long Island Sound. Now, nobody who lives in town would ever say, I live in Fairfield. We're romantically and recreationally situated adjacent to the ecologically flourishing Long Island Sound. But when you're capturing the essence of a community for the residents, and they see a lighthouse, they see sailboats going by, you've got to put that level of prose, because otherwise it's nothing to them.
Yeah.
In fact, you do an injustice to the community. And all the images are the same. Trust me, I could show pictures of your Gulf, and I could take pictures from other water around the world, you wouldn't know the difference. I could take a picture of a little town, a grandfather's clock, a Starbucks, a this, a hotel, a mansion, a railroad going through the community. It's all the same to people. It's telling the story.
Right. And so from that standpoint, really, I think you're right. I mean, obviously, and this is the time when we're with people also. It's telling the story of giving them the ability to visualize themselves in this community, in this house, of the next step when they're sellers. What is that next step? And that's where that comes in. Listen, I really appreciate your time today. One thing I want to thank you for is coming and investing in our agents and spending tomorrow with them. Just can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming in and really just sharing, 40 plus years worth in the business worth of wisdom.
It's a treat. Most people would do anything just to visit here personally, and to be here professionally, it's just frosting on the cake.
That's
So,
great.
Thanks
That's
for
great.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
Okay,
Allan.
thank you.
I know you've gotten something good out of this. So listen, send me an email. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions in particular. You guys know I'm here. If there's anything at all I can do to help you, just let me know. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.